Welcome to the Standard English Podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah.
We are absolutely thrilled to have you with us today. If you're tuning in, it probably means you're someone who recognizes that language isn't just a mechanism for survival.
Right.
It's a tool for dominance, for career acceleration.
That is exactly right. I mean, we aren't here to teach you how to ask for directions to the library.
No.
We're here to talk about the language that gets you a seat at the table. And specifically, we're looking at a very interesting set of forecasts regarding the year 2026.
The year 2026. It sounds so close, doesn't it? But at the same time, it feels like a completely different era for corporate communication.
It really does.
So today's deep dive is titled The Language of Influence, Decoding 2026 Leadership English. And I have to say, when I first started looking through the source material for this, I had a bit of a realization.
Oh, what was that?
Well, I think for a long time, I sort of operated under the assumption that English is English,
Sure, that makes sense.
Grammar is grammar. The rules don't really change. But looking at this research, it seems like the application of English, especially in the C-suite, is undergoing this massive shift.
It is a fundamental shift. You have to understand the context. For decades, the benchmark for global business English was basically competence.
Right. Can they understand me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you be understood? Is your grammar correct? That was the goal. But as we approach 2026, the entire landscape has changed. Competence. Competence is the floor. It's the baseline, the absolute entry requirement.
So just being grammatically correct doesn't get you a gold star anymore.
Not even close. It doesn't even get you in the door in some places. In the high-stakes corporate world of 2026, just knowing English grammar it's not enough.
Okay.
The gap we're seeing, and this is really the tension we're exploring today, is the difference between what we're calling basic English and executive presence.
Executive presence. I love that phrase. It sounds expensive.
It's incredibly valuable. It's the difference between a manager who, maintains the status quo.
And a leader who commands the room.
Mm-hmm.
And why does this matter now? I think that's the key question.
Yeah, why the urgency?
Because of the noise. The modern executive is just bombarded with information, with data, with emails, with AI-generated reports. To cut through all that noise, you need advanced fluency and an authoritative vocabulary.
So it's about signal versus noise.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's not just about communication anymore. It is about command. It is about influence.
Yeah, it's a powerful distinction. Communication versus command. So, help us navigate this. What's our roadmap for the Standard English Podcast today?
We have a pretty comprehensive agenda laid out. We're going to break down the pillars of this 2026 leadership style. First, we're going to look at the input side of things.
The input side.
Yes, the critical difference between hearing and listening in a leadership context.
Oh, this is a good one. I feel like everyone says they listen, but
very few actually do. We'll get into that. Second, we're going to get very tactical.
Yeah.
Very specific. We're going to deconstruct specific power words.
These are vocabulary choices that, when used correctly, instantly signal authority.
I'm ready for those cheat codes.
Third, we have to address the elephant in the room, or I guess the robot in the room.
The robot in the room, I like that.
We will look at the role of emotional nuance in an era that is just completely dominated by artificial intelligence.
Right, how to stay human.
And finally, because this is the Standard English Podcast, we're going to take a moment and break down some complex idioms to help our advanced learners really refine their usage.
Fantastic. That sounds like a solid plan. Let's dive right into part one then. Beyond basic fluency. You mentioned this idea that basic English creates a ceiling. Can you paint a picture of what that looks like in practice?
Absolutely. Let's imagine a scenario. You're in a boardroom. You have a manager presenting a quarterly review. Let's call him Mark.
Okay, hey Mark.
Mark is technically proficient. His English is flawless, grammatically speaking. He gets up and he says, "The project is complete. We finished on time. The budget was okay."
Okay. Clear, concise, grammatically correct. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Nothing is wrong with it. But it's functional.
Yeah.
He is transmitting facts. He's a human router. Now, compare that to a leader, let's call her Elena, who has that executive presence.
Okay.
She looks at the exact same data, the same project, and she says, "We have successfully navigated this initiative to completion, securing our market position for Q3 and in the process, optimizing our resource allocation."
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I see the difference immediately. It's night and day.
It is, isn't it? Mark is reporting the news. Elena is framing reality.
That's a great line. Framing reality.
That is the shift we're talking about. The shift from functional communication, to just getting the point across, to influential communication, the kind that persuades and leads. Mark hits that ceiling of competent. Elena breaks right through it to visionary.
And in 2026, with the speed of business, you just can't afford to be a reporter. You have to be the editor-in-chief.
Exactly. But here's the catch, and this is a really important point. You cannot be influential if you don't fundamentally understand the people you are trying to influence.
Right. You can't just talk at them.
You can't. And this brings us to what is maybe the most overlooked skill in the entire leadership toolkit, the difference between active listening and passive hearing.
This is one of those things where I think we all overestimate our ability. We sit there, we don't talk, our mouths are closed, and we think, hey, I'm a great listener.
Right. But are you listening?
Yep.
Or are you just, waiting for your turn to speak?
That's the reloading phase. You're just waiting to jump in with your own point.
Exactly. You're formulating your rebuttal instead of absorbing their statement. Let's break down the definitions here because they're really distinct. Passive hearing is biological.
Okay.
Unless you have a hearing impairment, your ears collect sound waves. It happens automatically. You hear the air conditioner hum, you hear the traffic outside, and you hear your colleague talking. It's all just sound.
It's input without processing.
Yeah.
It's just noise.
It implies a total lack of engagement. It's checking a box. Yes, I was physically present in the meeting. Yes, sound entered my ears. That's passive hearing.
We've all been in meetings with people like that. You can see their eyes are glazed over.
Absolutely. But active listening is completely different. It is a strategic leadership tool.
How so? How is listening strategic? That sounds like a bit of a stretch.
It's not at all, because active listening involves intent. It involves the synthesis of information. You're not just receiving the data, you are processing it, connecting it to other data points, and this is the most important part, making the speaker feel understood.
That feeling part seems crucial. It's the emotional connection, right?
It's the bridge to trust. It's everything. If I just stare at you blankly while you talk, you have no idea what's going on in my head. You don't know if I agree, disagree, or if I'm just thinking about what I'm having for lunch.
Right. And that uncertainty creates distance.
It creates a wall. But if I use active listening techniques, I am improving my engagement in real time.
So give us an example. What does the language of active listening actually sound like in a meeting?
It sounds like validation and synthesis. So let's say a team member is expressing concern about an upcoming deadline. They're saying, I'm just worried we don't have enough time, and the specs keep changing.
Okay, a common problem.
A very common problem. A passive hearer, a manager like Mark, says, okay, noted, and then moves on.
Ugh. Dismissive.
Totally. An active listener, a leader like Elena, pauses, and she says, so, if I'm reading this correctly, your primary concern isn't the workload itself, but rather the lack of clarity on the final deliverables. Is that accurate?
Oh, that is good. That's
Yeah.
really good. You didn't just repeat what they said.
No, you can't just parrot them.
You distilled it. You found the root cause.
You synthesized it, you connected the dots for them, and notice that little check-in at the end. Is that accurate? That is so important
Right.
because it gives them the power. It gives them the agency to correct you, or more likely to confirm, yes, that's it exactly.
And when they confirm, they feel validated.
Yeah.
They feel seen.
And when they feel validated, their defenses go down. They trust you. And when they trust you, they're so much more likely to follow your lead when you finally do speak and propose a solution.
It's incredible. So you're building authority by giving up the floor.
You build your influence by first understanding theirs. That is why we say active listening is a tool for authority.
I love that. It's almost like you're gathering intelligence before you make your move. It's like a strategic pause.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You're assessing the battlefield before you give the orders.
Okay, so we've listened, we've analyzed the room, we've gathered our intelligence. Now it is time to speak. And this brings us to part 2 of our discussion, the vocabulary of authority. The outline refers to these as power words.
Yes. And I want to pause here for a quick disclaimer. When we say power words, we are not, and I repeat, not talking about buzzwords.
Thank goodness. Because if I hear low-hanging fruit one more time,
We all feel that way. Buzzwords are empty calories, they're filler, they're words that have been used so much they've lost all meaning. Power words are different. They are dense with meaning. They're
Oh.
packed with nuance and implication. They signal that you understand the complexity of the business landscape. We're going to introduce 3 specific terms that are really essential for the 2026 executive.
okay, I'm ready. Let's start with the first one. I see this one in the news all the time, but I feel like we need to really understand it. Strategic pivot.
Strategic pivot. Let's deconstruct this. In a basic sense, a pivot is just a turn, right? In basketball, you keep one foot planted and you turn.
Right. You're changing direction but staying grounded.
Good analogy. But in business, simply changing your mind is seen as a weakness. If a leader says, hey team, the plan isn't working, so we're going to try this instead, what does that signal to everyone?
It signals failure. It
Yeah.
signals that you didn't know what you were doing the first time. It creates chaos.
Precisely. It sounds reactive. It sounds like you're apologizing for being wrong. But when you use the phrase strategic pivot, you are completely reframing the narrative.
How? What does that one word strategic do?
Strategic implies calculation. It implies foresight. It implies that this change is not a reaction to failure, but a proactive response to new data. You've learned something new, and now you are acting on it.
So it's not we messed up, it's we are smart enough to adapt.
Yes. And the usage is key here. Let's take a product launch that isn't hitting its targets. A weak leader, a manager says, we're pulling the plug on this.
Which sounds like defeat.
Total defeat. A leader with executive presence says, based on the emerging consumer data from Q1, we are executing a strategic pivot to focus our resources on the enterprise sector, where our retention rates are proving to be exceptionally high.
Hey, that sounds like a victory. It sounds like a brilliant move, even though you're technically canceling a consumer product.
It frames the change in direction as a positive, proactive decision. You're telling your team, your stakeholders, your investors, we are agile, we are responsive, we are strategic.
And I can see how that keeps morale high. People want to be on a smart, winning team, not a failing one. Okay, I'm sold on strategic pivot. What is our second power word?
This next one has a bit of a bad reputation, but in 2026, it is being reclaimed in a big way. The word is synergy.
Synergy. Oh, no. I feel like I need to wash my mouth out with soap just saying it. It feels so 90s corporate cliche.
It does carry some baggage. I completely get that. For about 20 years, it was one of the worst offenders in the buzzword category.
The king of buzzwords, maybe?
But language evolves. And in the 2026 context, synergy is moving beyond that buzzword status and back to its original powerful definition.
Which is, remind us.
It's the combined power of different elements being greater than the sum of their individual parts. It is the mathematical concept that 1 + 1 = 3.
Okay, so it's not just working together.
No, that's a common misconception. Collaboration is working together. Teamwork is working together. Synergy is creating a multiplier effect.
A multiplier effect.
Yes. Think about it. In 2026, companies are these complex ecosystems. You have AI, you have remote teams all over the world, you have cross-functional departments that barely speak to each other. The leader's job is to make those things fit together in a way that creates more value than they could on their own.
So how do we use this without sounding like a character from a Dilbert cartoon?
You have to be incredibly specific. That's the key. Don't ever just say, we need more synergy.
Right. That's meaningless.
It means nothing. Instead, you say, we need to unlock a synergy between our engineering department's speed and our marketing department's customer insights.
Ah, I see. You have to identify the parts that are combining, the 1 + 1.
Exactly. You are championing cross-functional unity. You are saying, if these two powerful things connect properly, we will get a result that neither of them could ever achieve alone. When you use it with that level of precision, synergy becomes a very high-level, very strategic leadership concept.
Okay, I'm willing to unban synergy from my personal vocabulary on the condition that I use it correctly.
That's a fair deal.
What is the third word?
The third word, and this one is perhaps the most relevant for our times, is resilient leadership.
Resilient. That's a strong word. It feels very solid.
It is, but we need to be really careful with the definition here. Often people equate resilience with toughness. They think of a boxer taking a punch to the face and just staying on his feet.
The grin and bear it mentality. Just push through the pain.
Right, but that's not sustainable, is it? That leads to burnout. In materials science, which is where the term comes from, resilience isn't about being hard, it's about being elastic.
Elastic.
It's the ability to absorb a shock, to be deformed by pressure, and then to return to your original shape without breaking.
That's a great distinction. It's like bamboo versus oak in a storm.
Yeah.
The rigid oak tree breaks and falls over.
While the flexible bamboo bends to the ground and then snaps right back up when the wind stops.
A perfect analogy. So how does that apply to leadership?
In the context of 2026, the market is just incredibly volatile. We have supply chain disruptions, we have sudden technological shifts, we have geopolitical instability. Things change overnight. A leader who practices resilient leadership isn't just tough. They are adaptable. They build systems that can bend without breaking.
And why is this specific phrase so important for the team to hear from their leader?
Because it signals stability in a world of chaos. When you, as a leader, say, we are building a resilient strategy, you are telling your employees and your stakeholders, I know the world is crazy, I know things are going to go wrong, but we are built to withstand it. We will recover.
It's like an anti-anxiety medication in verbal form.
That's a great way to put it. It builds confidence when confidence is scarce. So you see how they work together. Strategic pivot shows you are agile. Synergy shows you are integrative. And resilient leadership shows you are durable.
That is a powerful triad of words. That's a whole leadership philosophy right there.
It really covers the basis of modern leadership communication.
Now, speaking of modern leadership, we absolutely cannot ignore the environment we're all operating in. And that environment it's digital, it's automated.
It is the AI context. You can't talk about 2026 without it.
Let's move to part 3 then, the human connection in an AI world. Because honestly, if AI can write perfect emails, and an AI can analyze data better and faster than I can, and AI can even suggest strategies, what is left for the human leader to actually do?
That is the existential question of our time, isn't it? And the answer, I believe, lies in what AI cannot do, at least not yet, and not authentically. AI handles data. AI handles logic. AI handles syntax. But AI struggles profoundly with emotional nuance.
Emotional nuance. Can you define that for us?
It's the art of communication. My argument is that as AI takes over the science of communication, the grammar, the data analysis, the report generation, the premium on the art of communication will skyrocket.
So the more robots we have around, the more we crave actual humanity.
Exactly. Think about it. If you sound like a robot, if your communication is purely transactional, you are making yourself replaceable.
So if I send an email that is just purely task complete, next steps are A, B, and C, and AI could have written that?
And probably did. There is no value add from you as a human leader in that message. It's just information.
So how do we add that value? How do we use this emotional nuance?
It's about using language to inspire empathy and create connection. And let me be clear, it is not just about being nice or polite. Politeness can be programmed. This is about precision in emotional expression.
Give us a contrast, a classic robot versus human scenario.
Okay, scenario. You have to announce a budget cut that means canceling the annual team retreat.
Ouch. That is a tough message to deliver. People look forward to that.
A very tough message. The AI approach, or the basic English, emotionally stunted approach, would be, due to Q3 financial constraints, the annual retreat is canceled. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Cold.
Yeah.
Factually accurate, but so cold. It sounds like an automated airline cancellation notice.
Precisely. Now let's apply emotional nuance. A real leader might say, I have some difficult news. I know how much we were all looking forward to the retreat as a chance to reconnect, and I have to tell you, I share your disappointment that the Q3 budget requires us to pause it for this year.
Okay, starting with empathy.
Then you add, I'm genuinely committed to finding other, maybe smaller ways for us to get that valuable FaceTime together in the coming months.
Huge difference. It's not even comparable.
You validated their feelings. I know you were looking forward to it. You showed your own vulnerability. I share your disappointment. And you immediately pivoted to a constructive solution. That is leadership. An AI cannot authentically share disappointment. It can only say the words.
This brings up a really interesting tension, though. We just spent all this time talking about these big, authoritative power words, strategic, pivot, synergy. Those are they're head words.
Yes.
And now we were talking about these heart words, empathy, disappointment. How do you square that circle?
By balancing authority and humanity. That is the absolute ultimate skill for a leader in 2026.
Because if you only use the power words, you sound like a machine. We must leverage synergy to execute a strategic pivot for maximum efficiency.
You sound like a corporate press release that's been translated 5 times. No one trusts you. You have zero connection with your team.
But on the other hand, if you only use emotion, I feel really bad about this, guys, and I just hope we can figure it out somehow.
You sound weak. You sound like you aren't in charge. You create anxiety because you don't seem to have a plan.
So the goal is to weave them together.
To weave them together in the same breath. You use the power words to set the strategic direction, and you use emotional nuance to bring the people along with you on that journey.
So, something like, we are executing a strategic pivot. There's the authority.
Right.
And I know this change creates a lot of uncertainty for everyone. There's the empathy. But I am completely confident in our collective resilience to navigate this successfully. There's the synthesis.
You're getting good at this.
Yeah.
That was a perfect sentence. That's exactly it.
I'm learning from the best. But seriously, that structure hard fact plus soft skill seems to be the winning formula.
It is. That blend of authority and humanity is what keeps you essential, what keeps you employed in an AI world.
All right, this is fantastic. We have covered the strategy, the vocabulary, and the philosophy. But we are the Standard English podcast, and we have a commitment to our learner listeners.
Right.
We want to make sure we're breaking down the mechanics of the actual language we're using.
Let's do it. Let's move to part 4, the educational breakdown. We've used some idioms pretty naturally in this conversation that might trip people up or that people might know but not fully understand the why behind them.
Let's start with one we used right at the beginning, high stakes. We talked about the high stakes corporate world. What's the origin of that?
This is a great one. It comes directly from gambling, specifically from card games like poker. The stake is the money you put on the table. It's your bet.
So if the stakes are high,
It means there is a mountain of money on the table. The potential reward is massive, but the potential loss is also catastrophic. If you win the hand, you win big. If you lose, you could lose everything.
So when we say a high-stakes meeting, we mean it's a meeting where the consequences, good or bad, are severe.
Exactly. It's not just a casual chat. It's a moment that could define the future of a project or a department or even the whole company. Using that phrase instantly signals urgency and importance.
Okay, next one. We talked about connecting the dots in the context of active listening.
Connecting the dots. This comes from those children's activity books. You know the ones.
Yeah, with the numbers all over the page.
Right. You have a page with numbered dots 1, 2, 3, 4. And at first, it just looks like a random mess of points. But then you take your pencil and you draw a line from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on. And suddenly a picture appears.
The hidden picture. Something that was there all along, but you couldn't see it?
Precisely. In business, the dots are individual pieces of information. They are facts. Sales are down 10% in the Asia-Pacific region. That's a dot. A new competitor launched a product last month. That's another dot. The currency fluctuated by 5%. That's a third dot.
And the leader's job is?
The leader's job is to draw the line, to say sales are down because our competitor's new product is undercutting us on price and the currency fluctuation is making it worse. That is connecting the dots. It means seeing the underlying pattern that others might miss.
It's such a great visual idiom for insight.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use it to ask for clarity, too. I need you to connect the dots for me. It's a polite way of saying, explain your logic because I'm not following.
Yes, it's very, very useful.
And the last one, which is super relevant to our AI discussion.
Yeah.
Reading the room.
Reading the room. This is so important. And of course, it doesn't mean literally reading a book while you're in a room.
Right.
It means analyzing the unspoken, nonverbal, emotional atmosphere of a group of people.
Vibe check.
It's the corporate vibe check, exactly. Are people leaning in and engaged? Are their arms crossed and are they skeptical? Are they bored and looking at their phones? Are they angry? Are they confused? You have to read their faces and their body language like you would read a text.
And this is something an AI on a video call just can't do effectively.
Not with any real nuance. And if you fail to do this, the consequences are dire.
For sure. If you walk into a room where everyone is stressed and somber because of layoff rumors and you start cracking jokes and talking about your amazing vacation.
You have failed to read the room in a spectacular fashion.
And you lose all credibility. Instantly.
Instantly. And active listening, going back to our first point, is the primary tool for reading the room correctly.
Yeah.
You listen not just to the words, but to the feeling behind the words.
These are such essential idioms for any professional. High stakes, connecting the dots, reading the room. If you can master those three, you already sound so much more like an insider.
Absolutely. They are definite markers of advanced fluency.
So we have built a serious toolkit for our listeners today. We've gone from passive hearing to active listening. We've armed ourselves with strategic pivots, synergy, and resilience. We've learned how to balance our authority with our humanity.
It's a comprehensive upgrade for your professional operating system.
But we don't want this to just be passive entertainment. We're not just hearing this podcast. We want our listeners to take action.
That's right. We have a challenge for you, a very specific one.
Here is the challenge from our source material. Use one power word in your next meeting.
Just one. Please don't go overboard. Don't try to use all three in a single sentence or you will absolutely sound like a parody.
Okay, team. For this high-stakes project, we need resilient synergy pivot. Yeah, don't do that.
Please don't. That's exactly what we're advising against. Pick one. Look at your agenda for tomorrow. Find one moment, one opportunity where you can frame a change as a strategic pivot. Or find a moment where you can highlight the potential synergy between two teams, or describe your plan as being resilient.
And just see what happens. Observe the reaction in the room.
See if people nod. See if the energy shifts, even slightly. See if you feel more authoritative, more in command of the narrative.
And then tell us about it.
Yeah.
Share the result in the comments on our platform. We genuinely want to hear your stories. Did it work? Did it feel awkward the first time? Did you feel like a leader?
It's all about practice. You have to try these words on, so to speak, to see how they fit your personal style.
This has been incredibly enlightening. As we sign off, what is the one final thought you want our listeners to carry with them into 2026 and beyond?
It's this. In the past, there was a saying, let your work speak for itself. And that might have been true once. But in the future, in this noisy, AI-saturated, high-stakes future, your work needs a voice. And that voice is your vocabulary. It is your most distinct, your most human leadership asset. Don't neglect it, sharpen it, curate it, invest in it.
Your vocabulary is your asset.
Yeah.
That is a great place to end. Thank you so much for decoding the future for us.
My pleasure. It was a great conversation.
And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Go out there, connect the dots, read the room, and lead with resilience. Thanks for listening to the Standard English Podcast.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you next time.